In the ancient, misty forest of whispering woods, every creature prided itself on its perfect senses. The eagles had eyesight so sharp they could spot a ladybug on a leaf from a mile high. The deer had noses so keen they could smell a single drop of rain before it even left the cloud. And then there was Professor Orion, an owl celebrated throughout the forest for his magnificent, huge, golden eyes. They were like two brilliant moons, so large and clear that he could see a tiny mouse shivering at the base of the tallest tree, even in the dimmest moonlight. But Professor Orion had a secret, a peculiar flaw he never spoke of. He couldn't see shadows. For him, the world was a collection of bright, clear objects. Whenever something slipped into a dark corner or hid behind a thick tree trunk, it simply vanished from his sight. It wasn't there. This often left him feeling baffled and a little frustrated. "I don't need shadows," Orion would hoot proudly to anyone who would listen. "I only see what's real. Shadows are just fuzzy mistakes made by the light." He believed his vision was pure, untainted by the murky, unclear parts of the world. His next-door neighbor was a complete contrast. It was little Flicker, a tiny, common moth with simple, dull brown wings. Flicker couldn't see well at all. To him, the world was a blur of shapes and colors. But what he lacked in sight, he made up for it with incredible hearing. He could hear the softest sigh of the wind as it passed through the leaves and the gentle patter of a caterpillar's feet on a branch. He lived in a world of sound, and it was just as rich and detailed as Orion's world of sight. One night, the deep peace of the forest was shattered by a loud, crashing sound that echoed from the heart of the woods. A wave of panic spread like wildfire. The royal crown, the sacred symbol of the Whispering Woods harmony, had been stolen from its resting place on the elder tree. The entire forest was thrown into chaos. The eagles immediately took to the sky, their sharp eyes zooming and scanning every brightly lit branch and clearing. The deer raced through the undergrowth, their keen noses sniffing every visible trail, hoping to catch a scent of the thieves. But their efforts were in vain. "We can't find it," cried the eagles, their voices filled with desperation. "Everything is too clear. There are no obvious clues left behind." The thieves had been clever, leaving no trace in the well-lit areas. Professor Orion, confident in his superior vision, joined the search. He flew high above the canopy, his giant eyes scanning every visible clearing, every moonlit patch of ground. Soon, he spotted a tiny, glimmering object near the riverbank. It shone like a fallen star. "I see it," he hooted triumphantly, his voice ringing through the trees. "It's near that bright patch of smooth rock by the water." He swooped down with the grace of a silent hunter, his heart pounding with excitement. He was sure he had found a piece of the crown, a clue that would lead them to the thieves. But when he landed, his triumphant hoot turned into a frustrated squawk. The glimmering object wasn't a jewel from the crown at all. It was just a shiny piece of river glass, catching the moonlight perfectly. He had been tricked by his own eyes, fooled by the very brightness he prized so much. He had only seen the surface, the brilliant flash, and missed the truth of what it was. Meanwhile, as the larger animals rushed about in a panic, a tiny, soft flutter and a whispered sound caught the attention of Flicker. The little moth, who couldn't see well, wasn't distracted by the shiny glass or the brightly lit branches. He did what he did best. He flew low to the ground, his wings beating silently, and he concentrated not on seeing but on listening. He tuned out the frantic calls of the eagles and the pounding hooves of the deer, focusing instead on the subtle sounds the thieves might have left behind in their haste. And then he heard it. It was a strange, uneven scuffing sound, a drag, then a scrape. It was the unique sound a heavy, metallic object makes when it's being pulled across gravel and dirt. It was a sound that no one else had noticed. It was a clue hidden not in sight, but in sound. With his antennae twitching, Flicker followed the faint trail of noise. It wasn't a visual path, but an auditory one. The scuffing led him away from the bright, open spaces and toward a large, dark, shadowy hollow in the trunk of an ancient oak tree. It was a place of deep, impenetrable darkness, a place Professor Orion couldn't see into at all. To the owl, it was simply a void, a blank spot in the world. Flicker gently flew up to where Orion was perched, still fuming about the piece of glass. He nudged the owl's feathers, making a soft, buzzing sound. "What is it?" "Flicker, I'm busy trying to find a real clue. I can't see anything over here." Orion hooted impatiently, annoyed by the interruption and the pitch-black spot the moth seemed interested in. "She," Flicker whispered, his tiny voice barely audible. "Don't look Listen! I hear the scuffing sound coming from inside the dark, and I hear a faint, metallic clink right behind the blackness. For the first time that night, Orion paused. He looked at the tiny moth, then at the gaping, dark hollow. He had always dismissed anything he couldn't see. But Flicker's certainty was intriguing. Trusting his little neighbor, Orion did something he rarely ever did. He closed his magnificent, golden eyes. He tilted his head down, turning his entire face into a satellite dish, and used his keen owl ears to their full potential. And there it was. Just as Flicker had said, the distinct, muffled sound of the heavy crown slightly shifting inside the hollow. The thieves, knowing of the owl's incredible sight, had hidden it in the one spot they knew he would never look. The deep shadow, Orion's eyes snapped open. This time with understanding, not just sight. He let out a loud, clear hoot that summoned the Elder Guard. The crown was retrieved, and harmony was restored to the Whispering Woods. Later that night, the elder deer, the wisest creature in the forest, bowed low to the little moth. "Professor Orion," the elder said, his voice warm and respectful, "your vision is magnificent, a true gift, but Flicker, your attentive ear found what sight missed. You have taught us all a valuable lesson today. True perception isn't just about seeing what's bright and clear. It means using all our senses, especially the quiet ones, to understand the whole picture." From that day on, Professor Orion was a changed owl. He learned that the things you cannot see, their shadows, the quiet sounds, and the hidden details are often the most important clues of all. He began closing his eyes more often, not because he was tired, but because he was learning to listen. He learned to appreciate the shadows, not as mistakes, but as places of mystery and hidden truths. And he and Flicker, the owl with the world's best eyes and the moth with the world's best ears, became the greatest detective duo the Whispering Woods had ever known. Thank you so much for joining us for this story. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more tailies, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an adventure. We'll see you next time.